If Michigan wins the Big Ten tournament, I'll do whatever the top comment says on this podcast.
Wow.
That's what I'll do.
But CJ Kirst is the best lacrosse player to ever play the game of lacrosse.
We're so back, baby. Episode 13, the Mitchell Pehlke Lacrosse Show on the Lacrosse Network. A jam-packed episode. It's getting to that time. The thick of college lacrosse. We got conference play soon up. The tournament here soon. Mitch's Mailbox, college lacrosse, start bench cut. You guys know the deal. Doogs.
Yes, Mitchell.
Let's start with you.
What's going on?
We put out a tweet last week. Kind of get the lacrosse world all rumbled up, confused. I don't know. I got a lot of texts on my end like, hey, is Doogs healthy? Is he okay? Is everything all right?
Yeah. Some news came out last week. I'm retiring from lacrosse podcast. No.
Retiring?
No, you can't get rid of me that. You can't get rid of me that easily.
He's throwing up the cleats in the rafters, folks.
No, I'm leaving Barstool Sports. I've had a great 5-year run here, but I'm getting a new day job. You know, sometimes that bag money talks, and got a little offer from an outside company, going to help out with their social strategy. It's going to be a little bit different from the sports media thing. Still going to be doing lacrosse though. Still going to be with you folks every single week. Still going to be doing lacrosse content on the side. Got to get that paycheck up. And
Welcome to the club, Dukes. Corporate America by day, podcasting by night, baby.
Exactly, brother. And you know what? I mean, once lacrosse is in a spot where we grow it so much as media members. Maybe I can do this full time, but for right now, got to have the day job during the day and switch things up at night. But I think it's going to open up more opportunities to do lacrosse content. So I'm happy, but my last day is, if you're listening Wednesday, it's today. So congratulations.
Everyone go over to Doogs' Twitter and say thank you for a great career at Barstool.
Give Doogs a clap for all he's done for Barstool.
And maybe comment a frog under his Twitter and just be like, you're a legend.
A couple people were like, hey, where's so you're not doing lacrosse anymore? You're not doing I know. I heard some people, some former players, some people in the PLL actually in Jordy's DMs trying to get the role on the Crease Dive. I'll tell you right now, stay tuned on that podcast if you're a listener over there as well.
Ooh.
Because
can you give us some hints?
Wow.
He's a terp, and he ain't getting my job.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, I'm busting his chops. If he wants to come on the pod, he always can. But he actually hit up Jordy being like, does this mean there's an opening?
I love that. I like that. All right, well, Doogs is safe. He'll still be with us. And I'm excited because we're continuing this show all the way into the PLL Championship in September. But more importantly, let's talk college lax. Crazy weekend. Another one. And let's start with the Buckeyes. I mean, just the year we've been having. It's like I don't love to be a homer. I'm a media member, but it's tough when you're just succeeding. You're beating your rival, and it is what it is.
Mitch, this is not fair. This is not fair. Dude, you can't just give Hoagie the pass for leaving the country after the Buckeyes' embarrassing loss, and then he comes back and gets to come and join the celebration. Big Ten champs. Come on.
I will say it's great. It's great to be back. I missed you guys last week. Was across the water in Italy, so I had a great trip with the fam. But happy to be back in the pod with the boys. And you come back and the Buckeyes. What a year to be a Buckeye fan. Honestly, I mean, look, natty champs in football. We can win the Big Ten in lacrosse. I mean, we just own the sports world, Mitch, I think. I mean,
it's kind of crazy, man. It's like, why would you want to commit to a different school? Like, if I'm a kid going through the recruiting process, I'm like, it's not even an option. September 1st, and I'm calling Nicholas Myers, and I'm like, bingo. So let's just stay there.
Maybe I could add to that a little bit.
Oh, do you want to say something?
Yeah. If I'm like a recruit and I'm like, do you want to play your best ball in April? Go over to Columbus, Ohio. You want to play your best ball in April? You want to hang the banner for April wins? Come to Columbus, Ohio. You want to win national championships, baby? Go to South Bend.
This guy.
I mean, seriously, I think that week one I was making fun of Nick Myers and coaching job that he's done this year. Nothing short of miraculous. Losing to an awful Utah team. Not just losing like overtime by one either. Not a fluke game. Utah beat those boys. And to come out and have the run that they've had, remarkable. And no excuse now. I mean, they better be in the Final Four. Anything less than the Final Four, in my opinion, is a complete joke. And it's a worth
100%.
Throws everything out the window.
It'll be interesting to see. But obviously, big win over Michigan, 10-8. I was broadcasting that game, so they're live. The comeback that they had was crazy. And Kevin Hoagie, I'll let you guys hit on it, but to be down by 3, then to get 5 unanswered in 5 minutes, like we haven't seen that in a bit.
Yeah, I didn't know if Ohio State was built for that, but they were. And I've got to shout out Garrett Haas on the assist, man. The move he did. I know you shouted out during the broadcast, Mikey Sowers-esque. Good call, by the way. But, dude, that's the second time he's come through with a huge game-winning assist. He did it against Notre Dame as well. I think there's very few ex-attackmen. I want the ball on their stick for a clutch moment over him this year.
100%. One of the moves he had, I described it on air of like, I didn't even know what it was. He went to a left and then switched his hands and did a swim move like I've never seen it before. But he's going to be a special player and a guy we're going to continue to talk about. I remember when Hoagie and I were there, he committed. I think he visited campus or we heard about him virtually, and you could just tell by the way he carried himself and online that he was going to be a Buckeye and a great player. But, man, how about Gannon Matthews? Like, let's talk on him real quick. Like, transfers from Cleveland State. Is their last year, it's kind of their key guy, their main guy. Then this year, doesn't really play that much. Coach put him in towards the end, scored that first one, then just kept going back to him. And it just shows like you never really know when your number is going to get called at the D1 level.
Yeah, 100%. Gannon, too, also is one of those guys that has a good swagger to him. You know, he's got the sellers. Yes. He Penn State, he gave him the night. You know, he's got the swag out there, which I love. But, yeah, I mean, someone's got to step up, and Gannon stepped up there. It looked like, you know, the game might have been dead in the water, down 3 goals, 5 minutes left. And, you know, games like this, you know, Ohio State, Michigan games, you know, two teams who play, you know, like to control the pace of play, slow it down. Like 3 goals of a lead is sometimes insurmountable in games like that. So, you know, you're like rivalry game on the road, down 3, 5 minutes, nothing. I don't think Ohio State scored a goal for like almost a quarter and a half. I think their last goal before that was 12 minutes in the third quarter. So it was like a long scoring drought that they had. And they needed someone to step up, and Gannon kind of just said, screw it, I'm letting that thing fly. And, you know, it kind of really thought, Mitch, about what Coach used to say, and he said it afterwards in the pregame, post-game presser of, like, Coach would always be, Mitch, he would always be like, just keep shooting. You know, like when they weren't flying, shooting. Like, I know you as an attackman, Mitch, you could probably test this more, but I feel like Coach was always just like, they're going to fall eventually. Like, we just got to keep shooting.
And that's what I asked him. Like, after the win, we had a post-game conference with him, and I was like, Coach, when I was there, you always told us it was a game of runs. And he was like, it is. It truthfully is, you know. You kind of saw it. Ohio State came out hot. And then in the second half, Michigan had their run. And then obviously late in the fourth, Ohio State had theirs and secured the W. And that's something I'll never forget. And truthfully, just getting sentimental here, like that was a full circle moment for me, being able to have committed there in 2015, played there, graduated 2 years ago, and then to have broadcast a game that, you know, one of the first games they really won some hardware. Like it was so surreal for me, and to be able to talk to Coach Myers after the game was really special. And obviously now they go into the big tournament as the 1 seed. I don't have to play that first game. Like it's going to be fun to watch them, and I think they just proved to the nation that, you know, they are a real team here to stay.
Yeah, 100%. I think, Mitch, like kind of like you said, as an alumni of the program now, like, you know, first Big Ten championship in program history, and you know that was a long time coming. I know that was stuff that, you know, when we were even in 8th grade, freshman year, getting recruited, like Coach Myers was like, we're going to win a national championship. We're going to win a Big Ten championship. And like, whether people truly like believed it or not, like Coach did, and Coach always has, even when people lost the faith, even when the media turned against him, even if some of the guys in the old locker room at sometimes didn't believe we were doing, like Coach is one of those guys, like he pours his, you know, blood, shed, tears, everything into Buckeye lacrosse. Like Buckeye lacrosse to him is life. So he always had this vision, and he knew it was going to come true one day. It was just kind of a matter of time. And, you know, I think back, you know, a guy like Travis Crane too, who's been there for almost 10 years now, building it side by side with Coach Myers, to see them two kind of win that championship and have it kind of come full circle is just so, I don't even know how to describe it, Mitch. I think as an alumni, just so proud, so happy of where the program has come. And I think of like all the guys, you know, 70s and 80s who were playing, guys like Greg Bice, Anthony Kelly at the early years, like even the team who didn't win a Big Ten championship but brought us to the national championship with, you know, you think of JT Blueball, Bo Laurie, like Eric Fennell, Jake Withers, all those guys. And then even some of the guys we played with, Terry, Trey, like all these legendary Ohio State guys who all played a part in winning this championship eventually. You know, it's all a part of everyone there. And, you know, just as an alumni, I
think the win shows everyone a lot. But Kevin, Doogs, I want to ask you guys, do you think Ohio State is the best team in the Big Ten right now?
No.
No, I don't.
Maryland is the best team in the Big Ten. I don't want to like stomp on your whole parade that you're having right now about how great it is that they won the Big Ten regular season championship, but it's the regular season. Like I know it's always going to be special for you guys, but I think like if they don't finish the job and win the Big Ten championship, the tournament championship, like people are going to forget. Like last year, Hopkins went 5-0, one of the only teams to go 5-0 and win the Big Ten championship, regular season championship, but they didn't win the tournament. And so that's not what people remember. People talk about Michigan, back-to-back Big Ten champions. They don't talk about Hopkins 5-0 winning the Big Ten. So I'm happy for you guys. I'm happy for the program and stuff. But to me, I just don't think it matters as much.
No, I feel you too. Dude. Yeah, go dude.
I'm not. I have been, for lack of better words, at this point, I've just been a troll to you guys, and I will continue to be a troll. It's someone has to play this role. It's a fun role to play, and I embellish it. I love it. But let's be real. I mean, you guys are probably going to play Michigan again, right, in the Big Ten tournament
in the semis. Yeah,
if it all plays out the way it should.
Plays out,
I'd be an idiot not to take Michigan. They win when it matters.
Yeah,
that's the fact. Why would you not take Michigan in May at this point?
I don't know.
On a Thursday night at 5:00 in Ann Arbor, are you still picking Michigan?
Man, I'm sorry.
It's a Big Ten tournament.
I'll tell you what, I love the Buckeyes' path right now. I'm not going to lie. Like, let's just say they didn't get it done on Saturday. They would have dropped to the 3 seed, had to play Hopkins at home, and then Maryland in the second round. So you were looking at, you lost one of those two. You're looking at, you're obviously going to be in, but you're closer to the bubble than people think, given the RPI and the strength of schedule. Like, there wasn't a shoe like total lock for a home game at least either. You were kind of sweating bullets there, but now it's a total 180 with you have to think Ohio State's not going to get the 1 seed. They get a week off to prepare. They get a week off to kind of stay fresh. They get to play probably Michigan again or potentially Rutgers, and you're hoping you come out on the top side of that. You're hoping that Penn State Maryland game on the other end is an absolute bloodbath of a battle of a game where they go 60 minutes or more maybe and beat each other up. You're hoping to have an easier game on the other side. How I see it as Ohio State, like the complete 180 of those two. I mean, I think it's setting up well for Ohio State. I think the one thing that they need to figure out, I've been happy with the production of guys like Garrett Haas, like we've talked about, really stepping up. But Marnier's only had 1 point the last 2 weeks, and I think Tillman kind of had a blueprint of how to defend that offense because Tillman, had a plan defensively there. Marnie's, they were kind of keening in on Marnie and kind of took him out of the game, and that really slowed down the offense that Ohio State's had. So I want to see how coach in these next week and a half before we see them again adjust that offense to kind of get Marnie back into it or use him as a decoy in a way moving forward and see who else can step up.
That's media member Hoagie right there, unbiased. That's what you'll get from this podcast.
No, it is true though.
No, that was great analysis. It is funny because I'm looking up at what you guys put in with the schedule, and I was saying you don't want to play Michigan in May, and I was like, wait, is it actually? Are we sure it's May? May 1st. May 1st. You're getting Michigan on the 1st of May.
Dude, there's also the factor of rust versus rest, Hoagie. And
I agree with that.
There's the emotional high of winning your first ever regular season Big Ten championship. Like, you got to, Michigan.
No, but let me tell you something here, Kev.
I honestly think I'd be more nervous of a trap game against like a Hopkins in a first round.
Yeah, but I give you guys a peek inside the locker room right now. Nick Myers is a lot like a Bill Belichick, where you start to win some games.
He's not.
You start to win some games, and he's on you even harder, saying you guys haven't done anything. Like, let's get back into it. So there's no big heads in that locker room. I can tell you that flat out. But the aspect of what you just said, like, I'm a team that would love to play Saturday, Thursday, Saturday. And obviously, having that rest off, like, they're not going to do anything to put themselves in jeopardy. But also, like, I would love to continue to play.
Yeah, I would say, too, just from past experience, Mitch, you could talk about it. I almost didn't like the buys to a degree because the practices just got way harder. Like, I'd rather play the games and have our not easy practices, but like kind of our typical schedule. Like, when you don't play for a week and a half, like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, like they're going after you hard for 2 hours. And you haven't had those practices, honestly, probably since early preseason spring and like all in the fall. So it's definitely a different adjustment playing like the different style of like, all right, we have a week off now. It's not just like, let's skate by. Like, the practices are going to get intense. Let's also not forget the Creators Trophy's back in Columbus too, Mitch. Back in Columbus for the first time since 22.
Trophy, regular season, and rival. But we'll hop into kind of the bracket and everything later.
Bill Belichick, by the way, that was disgusting.
Okay, relax. Where were you born again?
Long Island.
Exactly.
Were you born in Ohio?
I was born in Northern Virginia, dog.
Riverdale. Nestler.
Riverside. Let's also talk about the other side. Maryland over Hopkins. Truthfully, I thought that was a game where Hopkins could potentially won. Hopkins nothing to lose. Obviously, a rivalry itself. Anything could have really happened. Records are thrown out. But Maryland is Maryland. Hopkins is Hopkins. But do you think Maryland is peaking at the perfect time? Kev, I want you to hit on this because I think you have some good analysis.
I mean, I think that Maryland just wins when it matters. I guess it's tough for them to get up for the Michigan and the Rutgers game in mid-April, but now they know what's on the line, and they're going to play their best. And honestly, I feel better about Maryland going into this Big Ten tournament than I have the last couple of years. I think that Maryland deserves a lot of credit for the top 10 wins that they have this year, and what they did against Hopkins, I think was one of their best offensive performances. Specifically, Braden Erksa came up big, had an awesome game. I thought he looked really quick, was running by his man, scoring goals. Hopkins, to me, they were really disappointing. They've been disappointing all year, but they were in the game, but it just felt like they were flat. Like, I felt like if they had a little more energy, could find one more juice goal somewhere, they could have maybe stole that game. And I just felt like there was juice missing from that rivalry on Friday night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think I was doing the Penn State Rutgers game, broadcasting that, and we can chat on that here in a second. But I don't know. I just felt like it wasn't as exciting as obviously years past. Remember last year, I think they might have set the attendance record when it was at Hopkins on a beautiful Saturday. But I don't know. Obviously, in recent years, it's not like the Kyle Harrison days where it's like the two best teams going at it. But it just shows like lacrosse is in a whole new standpoint. There's so many good teams that, I mean, hey, look at the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry. Like, that used to never be a rivalry. Fun fact, actually, before we were broadcasting the game on Saturday, I asked Conry, I was like, what's this rivalry been for you? And how much would this win mean? And he was like, it's not even a rivalry. It hasn't been a rivalry until we won in 2019. That's when it started to be a rivalry. And it just goes to show, like, it's nothing really unless two teams are really going at it.
Yeah. And I just feel like, yeah, you're right. Like, Hopkins isn't Hopkins this year. And there's an element of, like, it's weird because the game wasn't like a blowout. It wasn't like Maryland was, blowing them out.
It was like 8-8 end of third, I think.
Right.
Close
Right.
game.
And it just didn't feel like they had the juice in that game.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the first time, too, Maryland's won that game in the regular season since 2022. I know that, they lost on that Melendez goal 2 years ago and then ended up beating them in the Big Ten semis before they lost to Michigan. But, the Crab Trophy hadn't been in College Park since they won the national championship back in 2022, which is crazy to think about. Hopkins won the last two. But, yeah, this Maryland team, to me, like, they just have some level of, like, maturity, I want to say, that, like, I just trust them every single game to never get too high, never get too low, never get out of it. I just feel like they have some type of way that they play this year that's almost a little different than years past, where, like, I don't know how to describe it. I just feel like those guys just know what they are, and they're just so mature. They're so steady on how they play. And I feel like they have a quieter confidence of, they're going to be a tough team moving forward. Everyone was so high on them earlier in the year. They had that great Notre Dame win, and then they were looking like they were rolling. It was like, one point I was like, are they going to go undefeated again here? Then they go lose to Michigan. You're like, whatever, fluke, double overtime game is what it is. And then they lose to, like, Rutgers after Rutgers. We're like, who the hell is Rutgers? And then you start having questions about Maryland. But no, I really like where they are moving forward. It's crazy to think, too, Maryland hasn't won a Big Ten championship since 2022 either. Not just a tournament. They haven't even clinched a share of the regular season tournament since they won the national championship. They're going to be extra prepared. They're going to be extra focused to go get a Big Ten championship this time around. And I'll tell you, they're going to be a tough out, really tough out in this Big Ten tournament.
I agree.
I think this is, if I had to pick a winner of the Big Ten tournament right now, I'd say it's Michigan.
Really? No way, Doogs. Come on.
You can't say no way. How could you say no way?
So
I don't think they have it. They have zero face-off guy. They're facing off in the 39%. It's like one of the bottom worst in the country as a unit.
Guys have gotten it done.
And they were just
coach, like goalie ball. Also, if you're playing Ohio State, you just lost to them by 2. Okay.
If Michigan wins the Big Ten tournament, I'll do whatever the top comment says on this podcast. Wow. That's what I'll do. That's what I'll do.
You just screwed yourself.
That's what I'll do.
That's crazy.
That's what I'll do.
Things
You're telling me that one, they can't beat Ohio State. I mean,
No, they can beat Ohio State. I just don't
You're
see
in
a
the
way.
champion. Now
I
you beat
personally think they
Rutgers.
might lose to Rutgers this week. I'm not even kidding. If
They
Cardin
won't, but
Stoller has a
they
sick game, Rutgers has one of the better face-off guys in the country. And it was an 8-6 game 2 weeks ago when they played. I wouldn't be surprised if Rutgers.
I'm not saying that Rutgers. I'm not saying that Rutgers can't beat Michigan. You get rid of you beat Rutgers. I think that Ohio State. If I'm Michigan, I'd rather play Ohio State over Maryland or Penn State.
I agree with that.
And then you beat Ohio State. You're in the championship game. Who should they be worried about?
I would be worried about Maryland. I see no way they beat
the
Maryland
team
twice
the
in 1
team
year.
that Michigan has had their number the past couple of years.
I see no way that they beat Maryland two times in 1 year.
But
I'd be shocked. I'd be genuinely shocked.
They did it a couple years ago.
Did they do it in 22? Was it 20? What 23?
23.
No, 23.
They beat them twice.
They could do it. I just don't
I
think
hear
they
what you're
will. I
saying.
think
I
the
just think-
injuries are too much. Personally, I think the face-off deficit is going to be hard to overcome. You can't. And I will say I do love Pace Billings as a pole. He's all over the damn field. I love watching him. He's so good. You see how active he is in every facet of the way.
You know what was a fun fact too? Obviously, before we hop on these broadcasts, we have calls with the coaches, talk about starting lineups and different things leading up to the game. We hopped on a call with Conry, and I asked him, I'm like, who do you like beating more, Ohio State or Maryland? And he laughed and he said, no comment.
Definitely Maryland. It's definitely Maryland.
I don't know. I could see it being both, but I think one of the biggest aspects too about the rivalry, we asked Coach Myers, Hoagie and I experienced it firsthand. Around the facility, around the area, playing Michigan, like you don't say that M-word team up north, the focus was so dialed in. And we hopped on a call with Conry and Ryan Cohen, and for them, it was just another game. And I don't know if they're just trying to play calm or just try to stay this, mental head, but it was so weird how what we experienced at Ohio State was so locked in, where what I felt with those guys, it was just laid back like another game. And it could have been their game plan, and who knows, but it's so interesting.
I also think that to call us like just from an outsider's perspective in like the lacrosse world versus the football, like the Ohio State Michigan rivalry in sports in general is always like kind of going to be there. But when Michigan's only had varsity lacrosse since 2013, the top dog has been Maryland. You're getting a head coach that's coming from being an assistant coach at Maryland, so it might be a little bit easier for him to downplay rather than Myers, who's been there for so long. He's been around the football program. He's been around the rivalry. He's seen it on campus for so long. I don't know. That might play a role in it a little bit. But.
Yeah, and also I think we have to give our flowers too. Like Conry's done an exceptional job.
Conry's done an unbelievable job. Unbelievable
and also
job.
Shout out to the Michigan AD staff for picking him over like some bigwig coach that was already doing it somewhere else. Like
I would even
about
say
a call of the year.
The patience too to like stick with him when it was a little rough at the beginning too, right?
At the beginning, yeah.
Like it's hard to like in nowadays college athletics, like even in a non-revenue sport like lacrosse, like when you're not getting results right away and you're at a school like Michigan or Ohio State where you have almost unlimited resources, the top-notch facilities, like if you don't get it done, which they hadn't at the beginning, like there's going to be people like, who is this guy? Get him out of here kind of thing. So they stuck with him. He's clearly one of the best coaches in the country. He's done a great job with them. The only knock you have on Michigan is that they haven't had great regular seasons so far. Like the last 2 years, they won the Big Ten tournament. So you got to give them their kudos. And they made a quarterfinal 2 years ago. So they've done a lot more in the last 2 years than some programs have done in decades. But at the same time, that's like the one thing that I think the perception of Michigan is still not, elite of the elite, is because they haven't had the regular season success. It's kind of been just the tournament success at the end of May.
Yeah,
and April.
I mean, they're not far off. Yeah, they're not far off at all. But let's keep this thing going here. Penn State Rutgers, not an exciting game at all. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw the first 5 minutes. The ball was all over the gym. Like it wasn't great. I didn't really see much out of both teams. I mean, it kind of shocked you from a Rutgers standpoint. I think the most.
Yeah. Jack Frasian was the TLM player of the week. I thought he was awesome. Had a goalie goal, was shut down, which I think is a huge thing for Penn State. Like, we've been talking about these goalies. I heard you calling them out on the broadcast, Mitch. Like, Big Ten's got a bunch. They got 3 that are Thornton finalists right now, and Jack Frasian's kind of that guy whose stock is low right now. Like, for him to get hot right before the tournament, I feel like it's so dangerous because Penn State was already winning without him playing at his best. If he can take his play to the next level and Penn State's defense can get together, I think they can go on a serious run.
Mm-hmm.
Penn
I
State,
think
to
so
me,
too.
they're finally healthy to me. Like, they're finally
Mm-hmm.
hitting their stride. Like, I felt like, at the end of the non-conference and the start of the conference play, first 2 games, they played Ohio State and Maryland. First 2 weeks in the Big Ten, Trainer's first game back in a while was against Ohio
Yeah.
State. He was clearly rusty. Then you go to College Park and all of a sudden you're, 0-2 and, your people are like, what the hell's wrong with Penn State? Backs against the wall, rattle off 3 straight at the end of the year. I think they're quietly one of the most underrated teams in the country moving forward, because I think we had a lot of high hopes of what they could be early on. And, they didn't do anything too crazy. They had the injuries. They're finally healthy. So I'm looking for them to kind of make a run here. I think the committee had them at the 3 or 4 seed right now if in the NCAA tournament as of today. I mean, I know it was a fluke win, but they're still the only team to beat Cornell. So, yeah, I think, they got a lot of it all depends on Frassione. He had a great game last weekend, but, he's had a very shaky 3/4 of the season so far. He hasn't been great. So I think they'll kind of go as he goes moving forward. If he plays well, they have a chance to win any game they play. If not, it might be a little more of the same as what we've seen in the first half of the year.
Yeah, I think Frassione seems like one of those guys that plays better when the lights get a little brighter. Feel like I was out on him, and then they kind of made this NCAA tournament run, and I was like, okay, he is really good. I think he did the same thing last year. The one thing for me with Penn State is kind of what you hit on. They're getting healthy at the right time.
Yeah.
I do think they're getting more dangerous. Trainers getting more accustomed to, I don't know, like the legs. I don't know. Something has just definitely changed vibe wise. And when we're going off the fluke win with Cornell, I've been going back and forth about this like basically all year. Was it a fluke win? Did they win it? Did Cornell lose it? I'm somewhere in the middle. I think I'm in this place where I'm impressed by it. Because even though given the situation with the face-off, the penalty, being man down for 2.5 minutes, you had to have guys that it's not like Matt Trainer won that game, got them all those man up goals. They had to have other guys do it. And for me, I think that shows a lot about they found a way to win. And it wasn't the guys that you need the ball in their stick that you would think made the plays that had to. It was.
Dude, I was going to save this for later, but yeah, on that point, that's a more impressive win than people only remember the penalty, but they went on the road to Cornell to win that game. Not only did Matt Trainer not score those goals, he didn't even play. He was hurt.
Right, exactly.
Lehman didn't play. Duraco didn't play.
Yeah, they started attackers out.
Yeah, they were missing all their big stars, and Jack Frassione didn't have a good game, and they shut down CJ Kirst, like one of the only teams to hold him under a hat trick this year. So that's all things they did outside of the penalty at the end of the game.
Right.
That's interesting. And I think I said this in an earlier show. They're like the best, most unknown team still, in my opinion. Like, no one's talking about them.
No one. Absolutely no one.
Yeah, it's weird, too, because I love the Penn State lacrosse program. Like, they're one of these teams that probably since the 𝐓𝐇𝐄 𝐋𝐀𝐂 years, I feel like maybe because I did the podcast with Jordy for so long, but he was so out on Tambroni. Tambroni's a great coach.
Yeah.
Tambroni, I think he had one down year.
He had one bad year in his whole career, basically.
Right.
And you could argue he should have a national championship at Cornell back in the day, too, when he was there. If it wasn't for that crazy ending.
Cornell and the whole thing.
Look, I'm a Notre Dame guy. You could make an argument that, like, what happens in that Penn State, if Penn State makes the championship, what happens in that year? When the Crease violation.
Yeah, same thing.
Like, I'm not ready to say that Notre Dame definitely beats Penn State. I mean, it would have been a tough game for Penn State, but they kind of proved they were right there with everybody else.
Yeah. No,
I also think when it comes to the hype around the team right now, it's like, when did you get your big wins and what was the spot? Like, no one really watched that Cornell game. It was on ESPN Plus when there was other big games going on.
Yeah.
The 2 big games they've had where everyone was watching them was the Ohio State game and the Maryland game. And that was their 2 worst games. So
great point.
Yeah, we need more overall. We need more games on linear television.
Yeah. We don't need to get into that debate again.
Lost to Princeton in overtime.
Yeah.
Right.
Why do you think we're not
that
talking
game didn't
about
count? That game didn't count. That was like a Highland Park Denver Duke game. It was in the bubble. We had like barely any footage of that thing.
No,
that's exactly right.
I was watching that.
That's one of those like don't count games as we talk about.
Yep.
But that obviously,
trust me,
that wraps up the Big Ten. And Kev, I want you to explain it. We're going to gamify the Big Ten tournament here for all of us. Kev, I want you to kind of go into the depths of what this looks like. I think this could be fun for all of us to really kind of describe what the Big Ten tourney will be.
Yeah, so I feel like we got a lot of our takes out there. So let's rip through this and talk about the matchups that are happening starting this weekend. And we'll try to see if we can collectively predict the Big Ten tournament. So let's start with Michigan Rutgers. This game's at Michigan. Were we all on the Wolverines for this one? Anyone going Rutgers?
I'm on Michigan, yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised if Rutgers won that game, to be honest with you, with the goaltending and face-off.
No, I don't think so.
All we need is 3 votes. All right, all we need is 3 votes. So Michigan advances.
I'm on Michigan. I think they're going to win that game, yeah.
All right, the other first-round game is Penn State hosting Johns Hopkins. We all on Penn State, or does anyone think Johns Hopkins comes to life?
Penn State.
I don't think there's a prayer that Johns Hopkins wins this game. I actually
Penn
want to go as
State.
far to say this is like a nuts on the line. I don't think there's a shot Penn State loses.
I'm feeling a little better about Johns Hopkins right now. But Penn State moves on. So we got Ohio State versus Michigan in the one semifinals. I fear we're going to be split 2-2 on this one. But you boys are on Ohio State if that is the hypothetical matchup.
Ohio State wins that game.
Doogs, where are you?
Michigan. Can we get AP with a write-in?
Yeah, I'm in Michigan too, so we need a tiebreaker.
Yeah, but AP's a Michigan fan. He's a Michigan fan. He can't have him be the tiebreaker.
Oh,
get out of here.
Go blue, bitch.
All right.
The vote is in.
Let's circle back to that one. Let's circle back to that one. Penn State, Maryland. Again, the semis and the finals are in Ann Arbor, so no home field advantage. Who's winning that game?
Maryland.
I'm going Maryland.
I'm going Maryland as well.
Yeah, I think Maryland.
So I want to say this. For anybody that's listening to this, last week Mitch was like doing the whole podcast and like, oh, could Hopkins beat Maryland? And I remember being like, no way. When I was reading the what you guys sent into the group chat, I put Hopkins, and I'll stand by that. I didn't mean to. I really thought Maryland, but I do want to say I'm done ever. Like the one thing I will not stand for is doubting Tillman.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Hoagie and I have done it plenty of times. You can't.
Yeah,
You have so many picks that are bits, dudes, that I couldn't tell whether that was
no.
That
was on me. That was on me. But yeah, no. I mean, also my bits. I'm doing pretty well. I think I'm like
you are. Yeah, no, not bad at all.
Good week.
All right, so Michigan was the tiebreaker from producer Alex. The championship game would be Michigan versus Maryland. Who do we think would win that
Maryland.
Ooh, I think Maryland.
game? I'm kind of Michigan. I mean, they
Really?
have their number. I mean, they've won 4 in a row against them.
And it's at there too. Like,
There's no way.
I think they'd find a way.
We need a tiebreaker.
You think Michigan too, Dukes?
Yeah.
That is crazy. That you're just
So
doing
how
it for
is
the
that
clicks
crazy?
at this point. There's
Wait,
no
hold on,
way.
Let's go.
wait,
I think
wait,
it's
hold on.
kind of crazy, Hoagie, that you are so like Michigan has no shot. One, they did it. Two, like,
I don't think they don't have no shot. I think it's just crazy given like the matchups that they have to play. I don't see them beating Ohio State and Maryland 2 times in a row or Ohio State and Penn State.
Look, Ohio State is.
I don't
Ohio
think they
State's
match up
great.
well with either of those teams. They don't.
You were just talking about how like great of a comeback it was for Ohio State. We were on our knees.
Yeah,
We
but
need to put,
for
like,
most of that
lotion on
game,
our
like,
knees.
no.
Literally can't think of a team that matches up better against Maryland in the Big Ten.
Yeah,
I'm looking at it from
completely
a
agree.
specialist perspective. I think Ohio State and Maryland have a better goalie and a better
Face-off
faceoff guy in
Face-off
both
guy.
spots. They do. I'm
I
Is
taking
that because you're a
Taylor.
Fogo?
No. Look at the numbers. Michigan's one of the worst faceoff teams in the country. They got
and
injuries
I'll
all
give-
over the
I'll-
place.
I will say though, broadcasting that game, they do have a open spot that a 2025 year would fit great on their banner. They have it there for potential reason.
You know what? If Michigan wins the Big Ten tournament, I'll wear a Michigan hat and T-shirt on this show for an episode.
No. We're doing
He's
with
going
we're doing what the
crazy.
top
Top
comments doing.
Yeah,
Now, don't
well,
even try to get out of it.
I'm not getting out of it, but it's got to be a certain top comment. I can't, dye my hair red. I'm working corporate America. That's not how it works here.
No,
So
we'll talk about it. Dude.
Also,
You're not-
that's
we
not
already
how
said
it
it.
works here. But I won't
I
have to
do wanna
worry
say-
about it because Michigan's not going to win the Big Ten, so it doesn't matter.
I do also want to just call it out. I thought I didn't even check Michigan's faceoff percentage, but Hoagie, you were talking about how bad it was. Their
Yeah.
top guy went 10 of 17. They had another guy, their backup Launderback came and went 0 for 5. So he was 59%. Oldman only went 60.
Oldman was about 80% at halftime, and I'm telling you, if you look at their overall, what's Michigan's overall percentage on the year as a team? I think it was 40% entering the game. Mitch, you might have had the stats on your thing. They mentioned it on the
I don't
broadcast.
remember. I think Jack had it. I didn't have it.
Feels
Even
like
in the
cherry
Maryland
picking.
game.
He's cherry
Even in the-
picking data.
Even in the Maryland game, Rideout went 27%
You know
and
what?
they won.
If I'm gonna be the loner on Maryland here, I'll take my money to the casino and double down. If you guys are all gonna have your chips on Michigan, I'll go win big on the Terps. So that's fine with me.
It's not that. It's not that at all. It's you acting like it could never possibly happen when we've seen it happen each of the past.
It could happen. You guys confidently think that Michigan's winning this Big Ten tournament.
Whoa!
I'm not confident.
You sold your horses right there, Buster.
So who do you think's winning the Big Ten tournament? You guys both said Michigan.
Yeah, Buster, I think Michigan, but you can't say I'm saying it confidently. I was just like, I can't.
So you genuinely, if you had to go put your life on the line or put money on it, you're taking Michigan to win the Big Ten as of today.
No, they're probably like plus 600 to win the Big Ten title. It's like,
so why are you so confident on Michigan?
So then
that's
you
what I'm
should take
curious
Maryland
about.
then.
I can't tell if you're trolling for the clicks or like you actually think they're going to win. You think they're going to win the Big Ten tournament 100%.
I don't think you could be 100% about anything. I'm saying
they're your pick. They're your pick. You take them over Maryland today on the field.
If Maryland plays Michigan in the Big Ten championship, who's winning?
I'm gonna take Michigan.
I would absolutely take Michigan too. And it's not
a crazy pick. All right.
I like
I'll
it.
take them with I'll take them with the spread. I mean, if we're also thinking about it, like if Michigan loses this weekend to Rutgers, I think Maryland wins the Big Ten title. I don't think that they think they match up great against Rutgers or Ohio State. I've said this episodes ago. Maryland's not built to win national championships. They are built to beat Maryland and win the Big Ten. That's it.
You mean Michigan? You meant Michigan?
Yes, Michigan. Yes.
Yeah. You nailed it the first time you said it though on the episode a couple weeks ago.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you're right. You're right.
I don't think they have. I personally don't think Michigan has the offensive firepower that they've had in years past.
They got Maryland's playbook. They have Maryland's playbook.
They don't have a Mikey Boehm. They don't have a.
They have Maryland's iPad.
Yep.
You guys think it's a troll? I legitimately think that matters.
Big Ten play. We'll circle back next week. I'm excited. That's going to be great. We're going to talk ACC roundup. Notre Dame over UNC, 12-6. Doogs, I'll let you take this one.
What a win! What a win!
And also, before we go on to that, I want to say something. I think I'm in the lead for pick'ems.
No, I'm still in the lead, Mitch.
I think we might be tied.
No,
I went 3 for 1.
I counted it this morning. I'm still up 2 games.
3 for 1, dude. That's not even enough games.
Or 4 for 1.
I think you went 4 and 1. You did have a great week, Mitch. You did.
Outstanding week.
You went 4 and 1.
I'll give you the
join the club, buddy.
I'm 30-10.
Oh yeah, you're 2. Yeah,
Doogs and Mitch are 28-12, and I think Kev, you have 15 losses and 24. I don't know what the math is on that, but
oh man, yeah. Well,
I had a better week though. I had an under 500 week.
5-0.
I had an under 500 week. Duke should have been 5-0 if it wasn't for the brain fart on the text.
I know. I did see that, and he does deserve some credit. He deserves some credit for that.
He does deserve
credit. But that's the Doogs lifestyle. It's like you're so close to being perfect.
I so close. Providence first, and he just totally copied me.
No, first off, what a win. I know we're going to dive into the Big East. What a win for the
I'm so sad.
The Big East is the Wild West. I mean, I don't even know what the hell is going on in that conference. Seriously.
But going to the Notre Dame game, I mean, right off the bat, they go down 4-0, and I had major concerns. I wasn't that high on their defense in general this year. The goaltending's been pretty on par from what you saw last year with Entman. Obviously, you're not getting Entman and net. You're not getting some of those saves that you can absolutely steal that are momentum-changing juice. But Richard Delly's been a solid foundation for Notre Dame this year. And really, I've had a concern with their short stick D middies. And just Buckner getting attacked. Almost like they had a game plan to go attack the D middies. Tyler Buckner, QB1 for Notre Dame, went to Alabama, got benched against South Florida. Let me tell you this about this kid. He got burnt so bad from behind X. TLN, Kev, was that you or AP? Someone posted that, and I want to give them credit. It was an awesome clip. But Buckner, after that, I thought played unbelievable. Really, turned up the intensity levels. Notre Dame goes on, I think, a 12-2 run to end the game. Chris Cav, with one of the nastiest goals, willed the team. Really got clicking in the second half, and I think that was momentum-changing game for the boys in Irish.
Yeah, Cav put the team on his back, 4 goals. I think that they just kind of have some horses, dude. Like when that game, the flow of it was exactly like the Virginia game the week before. 2.5 quarters, battle, and then it's they just have more guys who can run all day. and they're going to run you down. And it just opened up in the second half of the third quarter, both of those games, exactly the same. We have an interesting situation brewing in the ACC, though, with like everyone beating each other except for Virginia. Notre Dame has now beat UNC. UNC beat Duke. Duke beat Syracuse. Syracuse beat Notre Dame. So it's like, it's really tough. Like ACC is hard to make heads or tails of it right now.
Is it tough, or are we just seeing that, we'll get into that game later, but I mean, it's Cuse away from the dome.
Ooh,
now possibly. Officially has legs. But
the one thing I will say about Notre Dame, though, that like, I know we were texting and we weren't all super confident at the beginning of that game, me personally, but so much of their offense is just Chris Kavanaugh or a midfielder, run past your man. Just run past your man and score unassisted. And it worked against UNC at the end of the game, but like, I just don't know. We saw like games like Maryland, and when they have defenses that can just kind of like put the clamps on all game and not run out of steam. I just like an offense that kind of like can move it a little more.
Yeah, I was chirping Notre Dame too on Twitter, saying they're on the bubble at that point when they went down 4-0, and then UNC just forgot how to play lacrosse, and it was a 12-2 run the rest of the way. I think we got to start asking some questions about Carolina. Honestly, though, if looking at their resume, like, are they a potential fraud themselves? Like, I mean, their best win is what? Michigan, Duke. Like, they really don't have that crazy of a record. They lost to Army, lost to Princeton. I mean, I think it's got to be. I mean, I feel like we've all thought Carolina, besides Kev, you've been on record saying they're a year away all year long, so I'll give you your credit there. But I feel like the rest of the country thinks their championship weekend good, and I think everyone got all mesmerized by those games early in the year when they played like that ACC Ivy Challenge, and they look great and so on. They beat Hopkins, and before we knew what Hopkins was, but I don't know. I'm not sold on UNC moving forward, to be honest with you.
They have good wins.
We just talked about Penn State, though, and we were talking about like, oh, they're getting healthy at the right time. Like UNC is getting banged up at the wrong time. Duffy and Petramala are both banged up. They were both game time decisions the last two games, and like, you can kind of see it in Duffy, I think, a little bit. Like he looks like he's slowed down a little bit. And this is the second year in a row now that he's been banged up with injuries late in the season. And I'm just curious if that's going to be a narrative around Duffy, like after this year, if they fizzle out.
Sean Light also.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's not a guy you want to play at less than 100%.
Unbelievable.
Right. I mean, it controls everything. I mean, you even saw when Petro got his hands free on that man up, that was a slingshot. Just absolute ripper. But I mean, I'm looking at North Carolina. I mean, they beat the brakes off Michigan. They did beat Hopkins, who I know has not been great. They beat the brakes off Penn. These are wins. They beat the brakes off Virginia. They beat Duke. Like, Duke's sitting at a pretty good record. I mean, we like to write these teams off because we're like podcasting so reactive. But I mean, at the end of the day, these are resume wins. These are top 20, 25 RPI wins, probably even higher than that. So, I mean, for me, North Carolina is clearly in. Syracuse maybe closer to the bubble than like I'd put Q's closer to the bubble than.
No, I'm not just talking bubble. Obviously, North Carolina is going to be in the tournament. I think I'm more so saying it as like a legit contender,
championship weekend,
like a championship weekend team. Obviously, they're going to make the NCAA tournament. I just feel like at the beginning, or at least the first quarter, almost second quarter of the season so far, we thought Carolina was like championship weekend good, and I feel like they're kind of doing a little bit of what Hopkins was, where we overreacted at the beginning with Hopkins and they've fallen off. Obviously, UNC hasn't fallen off to that degree, but like, everyone after the first month of the year was like, wow, Carolina's back, Bresci's saving the job, et cetera, et cetera. And then they've quietly kind of just not performed the rest of the way. Like,
and by the way, just to circle back to what was said weeks ago, if they go to Syracuse this weekend and lose, that Hopkins game will have been the only game they've won outside the state of North Carolina.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's crazy.
Crazy to think. It is crazy to think.
And I never thought they were championship weekend good.
I've been looking at the brackets too that Fieldy Stick Mark Hart does on Twitter. He's a great follow. Great follow on Twitter. Does the bracketology every week. He has them the last three mock drafts or mock projections at the tournament. Playing Richmond, I could see them losing to Richmond in the first round. I'm not even kidding if they don't show up.
But that's kind of where I'm at with the entire selection. Like when we're talking, I think at this point in the year, there's like 8 teams that I think it's all going to be matchup dependent. Like of who gets matched up.
I mean, going back to what Pehlke said on 2 episodes ago of just it's still so wide open. I think you could kind of say less teams are going to win it all, but there's still not a definitive answer.
I think Duke's kind of coming together nice. Like McAdory, like I don't know if we're going.
Yeah, but is that going to be the same
They're
situation
coming
in
together,
2022?
Doogs, but guess
with
what?
Notre
They
Dame,
lose
though?
in Charlottesville Saturday, and their ass isn't in the ACC tournament. And they're
But they
sitting
ain't
on the
losing in
sideline there.
Charlottesville.
What?
They ain't
I don't
losing
think
in
there's a-
Charlottesville.
Yeah, there's no way they lose that game.
Yeah, and they're
I
shot.
don't know. You never know. You never know.
Yeah, well, let's keep it
never
rolling.
know
Wait,
Let's talk
no,
about
no, Buster.
You never know.
This is going back to Michigan. This is going back to
Never know.
Michigan. Now he's trolling me. Now
Never
he's
know.
trolling me.
what do we think? I mean, the Duke over Cuse. Do we really think Duke's peaking at the right time? But then also it brings me back to 2022. Is Duke in the same situation Notre Dame was?
I mean, they're in a little better position because they have an ACC tournament. I know that doesn't get them an automatic qualifier.
Yeah.
But I feel like that could go a little further.
Okay, let me pose you this question. If Duke goes to the ACC championship, does not win, do they make the tournament?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Look, I've been a Duke should be in guy anyway. Like when we had Kark on a couple episodes ago, like that was the one team I kind of pushed him on that he was like, no, Duke can't get it together. And I was like, I just don't know how you could say that with the talent on this team, especially, I don't know if you just saw, but Aiden McGuire like had his best game of the year. I think he had 3 or 4 points, but dude, he's a cheat code. He's a cheat code when he decides, okay, I'm going to get the ball and I'm going to play elite defense and I'm going to go on the other end and I'm going to score. Like they have so many guys who, Eric Molliver can just wake up and have 5 goals, you know? And Andrew McAdory only had a goal and 2 assists. He not a statistical demon this year, but like he's such an impact player and they have other guys who can get the job done. Like
playmaker.
I think that Duke has had the talent all along. It's just a matter of will they win
Put
the
it
game
together.
And you're talking about the last 2 games, in my opinion. I think North Carolina's defense is very slept on. I mean, they lost by 1 goal. What's like you'd be like, God, like 8-7. But to beat this Syracuse team, who I think has a great defense, great D coordinator, to jump out to the lead they got and kind of be in control for the entire game, I thought was very, very impressive. And I think the McAdory switch to attack is the right amount of juice that these guys needed. I mean, even if, I even just think that the rotations that McAdory could set off, like, it opens up a guy like Molliver to get 5 by.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Duke's going to be in the NCAA tournament just because of the bubble. There's really no bubble this year. There's like one team right now, Michigan outside, and then there's like a massive cliff after that with at-large teams. Yeah. It's not like years past where, Notre Dame and Duke missed it, or last year with the Ivies that, Penn, Yale, and or Penn and Cornell missed it, right? Like there's not really that much of a discretion to be like, they shoulda, woulda. The team who's like needs to figure it's Army. If Army doesn't win the Patriot League, there's a lot of pressure. There's going to be a lot of pressure from the media and a lot of pressure for people to put them into the tournament. But I think if there was like a last spot in Duke and Army, Duke's going to get that bid over Army.
And I'll just say this, they should
never do something like that.
They should too.
They should. And the people who are complaining on Army's behalf, there's nothing wrong with Army. I love Army. Great team.
Right.
They don't play the schedule that other teams play. Like it's nice that they beat UNC one time, but that one win over UNC at home is not going to carry your whole season. You look at Duke's overall resume and their resume, RPI and stuff, it is what it is. But there's going to be a lot of pressure from the media to put Army in if they don't win the Patriot. But I think Army's in big trouble. They need to win the Patriot League.
Before we jump to that, or off this, one thing about Cuse that we got to talk about. I know Doogs says they maybe have a problem away from the dome. It might be true. Owen Hiltz had an injury. Left ankle was heavily taped. It said it happened at the end of the Cornell game. And then he was just parked on the crease the entire game. And then Peyton Anderson couldn't beat his man. Joey Spallina wasn't beating his man enough. That was a huge factor, if you ask me, is Owen Hiltz needs to be healthy. We talk about UNC getting banged up at the wrong time. Finn Thompson did come back, but he's not 100% yet. Syracuse they've got to get Owen Hiltz and Finn Thompson back in the lineup and healthy.
Yeah.
Man,
Syracuse, I don't know. That'll
weird
be
watching
ACC
them.
is like, yeah.
Like when they don't play at the Dome, they're a different team.
I think like Ivy League wise, there's really not a debate. Obviously, Cornell is top dog there. Cornell over Harvard, 20-12. Didn't really see, obviously, that going a different way. But CJ Kirst ties a record right now. We're going to have Matt Nestler on a little bit later to talk about the Kirst family as a whole. But let's say, and he's projected that he beats the record by 20, 25. Is that one of the most impressive records we've seen broken since since the past 25 years?
Oh, we're going all the way 25 years, so that must be a question for me. Right?
No, I think all you guys though, because I'm not a huge records book guy. I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm thinking from 2000 to 2025, is this going to be the most exciting record and probably record we're never going to see broken again?
Yeah, and I'll say one thing, like when we were talking about like CJ Kirst versus like, oh, is he the best ever? I guess this is a little foreshadowing because maybe it happens in a segment that hasn't been shown to the audience yet, but we already filmed it now, I'm thinking. Like if you're talking about him and Pat Spencer, like Pat Spencer all-time assists record in NCAA, I take the all-time goals record. Like if I'm picking the two guys, I'm picking the guy who has the all-time goals record.
Yeah,
really,
the all-time assist record.
Yeah,
that's funny you say that because I'm probably the exact opposite.
Really?
I favor a guy that can make other people better, and I'm not saying Kirst can't, but I think Pat Spencer, like if he wanted to get, I think Pat Spencer was so good that if you're like, hey, could you get the goals record instead? He probably could have.
Dukes, let me ask you this question.
That's how good he
Cormier
was.
has a record right now of 224.
Yeah.
Let's say Kirst finishes with 245. Will CJ Kirst be the best college lacrosse player ever of all time?
No, he won't. In my opinion, I think he's solidified himself already as a top 5 college lacrosse player ever, and I do think that a championship game or a championship would really put him in there. Like maybe
Or they went in 22.
Yeah,
so they have
he went to the Final Four, but like, look, there's just something to go down.
No, they went to the national
to go down
championship.
as the best. Like if we're going, it doesn't matter if you want a championship or not. For me, it's Pat Spencer. I think the hardware really you need it to solidify yourself as the best.
Yeah,
that's just my take.
Kev, what do you think about that?
I think that that's a fair argument. I will say, like, yeah, you're mentioning Peyton Cormier, Mac O'Keefe, who had it shortly before him.
Yeah.
It'll be a much longer time before someone breaks that record.
Yes.
And I know that was something that, like, Hoagie, you got called out on Twitter and not, like when you made the tweet about it and you were saying like, this is going to stand for a long time. People are like, oh, this record falls every other year. It won't after this. Like CJ Kirst is going to build such a big buffer between him and anyone else that I think that it won't be, nothing is unbreakable, but that's going to be pretty close.
Yeah. I never say never, but I completely agree with what was just said. I do think that this is going to stand for a really, really long time, and different than Cormier and even Mac, who like, I love Mac, but Mac had an ailment, he was the shooter on a team. Kirst is just, as a complete player, he could be a quarterback. I mean, he doesn't really have the assists in his career.
Yeah.
But you talk about a go-getter. He's what we call in the business.
And it says something special to create, put the ball in the back of the net yourself. But it kind of brings us to our next little game. I want to gamify this subject, the picking the torch on. Kev, I want you to bring us through as well. And I want to gamify this. I'm curious to hear Hoagie's thoughts on this. But Kev, break us down the rules.
Yeah, dude, gamify is the word of the day on the Mitchell Pehlke Lacrosse Show.
Gamify, baby.
Yeah, let's gamify the Twarton finalist draft. So, Mitch, I was going to give you the first pick here, but we can just say it's out there. It's a lock. CJ Kirst is going to probably win the Twarton.
Yes.
He's definitely a lock to at least be a finalist. So the four of us, I think, can do like draft style.
Yeah.
Who else should be a finalist? And so
CJ's up there. Who do you have?
Hoagie, Doogs, me, and then Mitch, you round us out with the fifth. So I'm curious. Okay. Hoagie, this should be easy. You got
there's so many deserving guys. I think I'll go with Sam King from Harvard. I just love the year that he had. I think he's an electrifying player, prospect moving forward. I think kind of what he's been able to do at Harvard this year, and Harvard has had a great year so far. And I'm taking Sam King. It was tough between him and Jackson Eichert for me right now at the 2 spot, but I'm going to go with King.
So you're the opposite of Kark.
Dukes?
I'm going with Chris Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
I think when it's all said and done, he'll get an invite. I'm very confident in that. I mean, I know Kev just looked at me a little bit like crazy. Notre Dame doesn't play the amount of games, so I don't ever think the stats are going to be there, but his impact in the field will be. And I think that we're going to look up and laugh and when Chris Kavanaugh leads Notre Dame to a 3-peat.
I know where Kev's going.
I'm with you 100%. I think
when you're talking about a guy. I know it's not a lifetime achievement award, but I do think if you're telling me, like if the last spot's in between someone like Jackson Eicher or Chris Kavanaugh, I think that just for the invite, because it's going to be a runner-up award, I think they're going to give it to someone like Chris Kavanaugh.
All right, I've got the 4th overall pick. I got us pivot a little here from where we're going. I'm going to go with Logan McNaney.
I thought you were going to go Spallina.
I know, right? But he's still got another year. Like Logan McNaney, 6th year, unless he comes back for a 7th. I don't think that, this is it for him. Maryland has been good. They've been solid. They've had a run at number 1, but they haven't even dropped below 5. I don't think in the rankings this year. Yeah. And the biggest reason why the most consistent player is Logan McNaney. And he's the biggest factor too. Like when they win, Logan McNaney plays at an elite level. I think he does so much for the team. He's wearing number 1 this year. I don't think he wins it. I don't think he should win it. Kirst all the way. But I got to put Logan McNaney in there so that there's a Maryland representative and we still keep alive the hope that a goalie could maybe one day win this award.
Yeah. I'm going to come in with Jackson Eicher. I just think with the points he's put up, Nova guy, and also I know Pat Spencer won at Patriot League, but the service academies, they've never gotten any love. As Navy or Army, have any of them ever won it?
They got a lot of Heisman Trophy winners in football, but
I know they went to the national championship in 2004. Navy did, but I don't know. I truly think Eicher should at least get an invite.
I agree.
I just don't think it's right. And it kind of goes back to Kark's point, where when some of these teams play in outer space, you don't even know about some of these guys. And I feel like people don't even know about them until they hit the OT game winner in the Army-Navy game, the biggest stage. People are like, oh, that guy's pretty good. Look at the points. They're like, damn. So, I don't know. I think he deserves it. But at the end of the day, do I think that will happen? No. Just because.
So, to round out our draft, it's Kirst, Sam King, Chris Kavanaugh, Logan McNaney, Jackson Eicher.
Yeah.
Biggest snubs. Spallina, Coulter McAsee didn't get a pick from any of us. I don't know. And then Owen Duffy, Matt Trainer. And then you're getting kind of a little further down the list.
That's where I stand. And I think Cav kind of gets the invite over them.
I do too, especially after this past week. He had
there are
very few guys who go as their team goes. Like Kirst, where they win when Kirst plays well. Kavanaugh, picked up Notre Dame by the bootstraps this past weekend in North Carolina. Yeah. And he's just that guy for them.
100%. But talk to us about the NCAA clear favorite to win the whole thing.
Cornell. You want to gamify it, Mitch?
Let's gamify it. I think we should. Because I'm honestly curious. I think we're all going to have different answers.
So Cornell's been number 1 for, I think, 5 straight weeks now.
Yes.
So they're starting to look like the favorite to win the NCAA tournament. If we're already picturing them on Memorial Day, who is the team, I want to know, in each of your minds that you can picture that beating Cornell or at least giving them a run? Doogs, is it Notre Dame for you? That's my guess.
How could it not be Notre Dame? I mean, if you're talking about a bad matchup for Cornell, Notre Dame's about as bad as they come. You get a defender like Sean Light who can lock down CJ Kirst. Now, I don't know if they're stopping CJ Kirst, but you could definitely slow him down. We saw Penn State do it. Why would I not put my money on Sean Light doing it? And this is a defensive unit that after the weekend at North Carolina, I think got better and better. And this is one of the top units in the country. They're going to hold you down to less than 10 goals. And we're talking about a Cornell team. Yeah, they score 20. They also give up 13. And this is a Notre Dame offense efficiency-wise that is still top 3. They're the number 1 offensive efficiency in the country. Doesn't matter what the eye test says. Ball in the back of the net, how many times they convert putting the ball in the back of the net against these top defenses. I mean, they're going up against top 5 defenses week in, week out. And their offense is getting enough goals to win them games, keep them in games. So I think Notre Dame's about as bad as a matchup as it comes for Cornell.
I like the Notre Dame pick. What about the Ohio State boys? Are we rocking with the Buckeyes? Either one of you going to pick them?
I think it's tough.
For me, I think the biggest one, I think it's Maryland. Maryland to me is the team that I think has the best chance to beat Cornell, just in terms of, it's death taxes, Maryland playing on Memorial Day. First off, you basically write them into the game already there. I trust Tillman, more than almost anyone in the country, to get those guys right. The team, the experience with McNaney and them have been there. so on and so forth. Cornell is, you think Cornell and Maryland, they don't play. It's, matchup. You don't know. These teams scrimmage every year in the fall. So they've seen each other. Maryland's defended CJ Kirst in scrimmages and so on and so forth. Tillman and Logan McNaney are both upstate New York guys, Corning guys.
Yeah.
They know what it's like up there in that Ithaca area. So it's not going to be like a 180. Sometimes these games, when you play a team that you never play every year, you haven't played in years, it's different. But Maryland's going to be one of those teams. They've seen Cornell play every single year in scrimmages. I'm not going to doubt Tillman. He's the best coach in college lacrosse. Maryland's there every Memorial Day. For me, it's going to be Maryland.
Mitch, who's yours?
Honestly,
please be honest.
I think it's Penn State's year.
Wow.
That's my pick. Get the same pick.
Is it? Kev, you think the same thing?
Why do you think Penn State?
I just think the stars are kind of aligning here. Teams, I think Penn State is one of them, thrive in the shadows. And we just haven't talked about him. Matt Trainor's obviously an electric player, but he's not what Grant Ament was there and what CJ Kirst is at Cornell, where he has that superstar name. And they're just playing great lacrosse.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. I think also, too, it's like Tambroni was at Cornell, didn't win it, kind of got screwed over in the Crease call, a couple other things at Penn State. I think he's due.
Cosmic justice?
Yeah, a little something.
Again, imagine Cornell. He did it too won his national championship against Cornell after he should have won one at Cornell. Yeah. That would be crazy.
11-1.
It does.
One loss is Penn State.
I mean, again, I was saying even like that. I think St. Joe's can go on around. This is all so like I hate to be like it's all so matchup. It is all so matchup dependent.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
If Army goes up against like a St. Joe's, I'm like, all right, I think I like St. Joe's in that matchup. If Army goes up against a team like Syracuse, I'm like, I like Army. Like, it's
what if like St. Joe's is going up against like High Point or something like that?
Army? No, it's High Point. St. Joe's gets High Point. I mean, St. Joe's. I like St. Joe's.
Interesting. That's all I'm gonna put it at. All right, let's keep it going though. We gotta keep it going because I want to get Mitch's mailbox. Everything else. We'll get some notable facts real quick. Towson over Fairfield. I called it. I think Doogs, you called it too. 2 Italians. Providence over Denver.
In the yellow buckets.
Ugly
Jesus. Richmond blows out UMass, which is Richmond. You better watch out. They're gonna be lurking in the tournament. That's all I got to say. 14-5. High Point beats St. Joe's.
What?
Albany over Yale. I still like Yale, but we can talk about that another day.
Yeah, I still like St. Joe's.
Lastly,
I'll still take St. Joe's.
Delaware.
How much is the paycheck this week?
Intern dunk. We'll leave it at that. All right, I think we're going to finish there. We've already been running long. Let's just hop right into the interview with Matt Nestler. And now, Matt Nestler, Nesty Betts, whatever you want to call him, has joined the show. Clap him in. Clap the Italian in. Matt Nestler, Cabrini, Chatham, the biggest Kirst fan in the world. Can we say that?
It's hard to be a fan when you consider him family, Mitch. Supporters on the planet Earth outside of that immediate bloodline they have going on there. So, no, it's an honor. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to talk about the Kirst.
We'll dive into the Kirst here in a sec. The family, CJ, obviously big news. Draft. The brothers doing big things. We got Caden at Rutgers. But in recent news, something similar to hit home with you is Limestone. They're shutting down their program. You don't want to go for the heart, but we got to ask serious questions here if we want good answers. Limestone is shutting down their doors. We're filming this on Monday. This airs on Wednesday, so it could potentially have already happened. Matt Nestler went to Cabrini, won a national championship. Not going to leave that out, but their program shut down as well. So I want you to kind of walk through your experience of Cabrini shutting down and also walk through what the guys at Limestone are potentially feeling.
Yeah, no, I mean, just starts it off with an absolute brutal question. That's the type of host Mitch is. Just comes right, no love, barely a how you're doing. Shout out to the boys at Limestone. I know you're hurting. That's gotta hurt. Shout out the alums of Limestone. I know that hurts. I was an alumni at Cabrini when it got announced they were shutting down. So immediately I felt bad for the kids on the team, and that really sucks for them. But then on top of it, everyone that went there, you kind of lose that connection, that excuse to go see each other 2 or 3 times in the spring, get together for some beverages, some lacrosse, and just some late night fun. I barely saw my Cabrini boys the last few months. I'm gutted. My heart hurts. And I know that's coming for that Limestone family. So, if there's still a chance to save it, save it. But it appears, some shitty president they had was getting them in debt as well as Cabrini. But, just long live. They're national champs as well. So congrats to those boys. But
yes.
No good. It definitely hurts to see another one go.
I would like to step in for Nestler here and just say, like, if you're Limestone and you're one of those kids and you're looking for a reason to go back, I mean, look, maybe Limestone will get fortunate. Cabrini, they got bought by Villanova. So now, Wildcats up. Nestler and his boys could go to Villanova games all the time, right, Nestler? I'm assuming that you guys are all Villanova Wildcats?
No, actually, Doogs, I hate them more than you'd ever believe. However, I do have to support them because they have some Cabrini blood on the squad. He goes by PJ Hewitt, number 16 on the Villanova Wildcats, D-mid. He did 5 years at Cabrini. He's putting in one more year for those Wildcats who are looking to take the Big East title. So, shout out PJ and those Cats, but just for this year. It's V's up this year, that's V's down for life. It's got to be. You got to have some hate in your heart.
South Carolina lacrosse is coming for Limestone.
I was going to say. Nesty, let me put you in the situation. You're on Limestone this year. You're a senior or you're a junior. You have the senior option, but the school gets shut down. What are you doing for your fourth and final year? Are you hanging them up like the rest of the fellas, or are you trying to take your talents to a school like potentially Ohio State?
Well, if there's no option to stay, like sort of in the similar situation where Cabrini got that last ride, if that's an option at Limestone, I'm staying with the fellas. You just got to give one more. It doesn't seem like that's the case. So I can't hang them up there, It's one of the reasons I went back to Cabrini in 2022 was I couldn't live with the idea that I had eligibility. If you have a chance to play and you love the sport, use it because you'll kick yourself 10 years down the line if you didn't use it. Was so happy I went back. So I know in a similar situation I'd want to go. I don't know if I'm looking at the Big O. I love that you boys ride for him sometimes. You guys just don't, which is crazy. If you're an Ohio State guy listening to this, really question their reporting skills on your university. But
media members.
I would look at some more blue bloods, people that are real contenders and not pretenders.
You were a great goalie. I watched your highlights. Were you the type of goalie that played at Cabrini and could have made the jump to like a straight to a Duke?
I was always extremely confident in my skills. I believe I could be on any roster in the country.
If you ask a guy that question, he says, "I'm confident in myself." The answer is no.
No, Mitch. If we're on this topic, I had to PLL week 1 last year. We had a few beverages where I was ready to get punched in the face by Nestler because he would not back down from the fact that he was not a top 12 goalie in the world. He thought he could be on a PLL. He thought he could be on a PLL roster.
Nesty, you just said you stubbed your toe bowling.
All right. First off, Mitch, you're the most unathletic guy in this podcast. I never said to Doogs, I'm a top 12 goalie in the world. I said to Doogs, I could go out there and play in the game. I never said I'm going to go out there and be an all-star. I said I can give you 60 minutes, and there's always a chance that within those 60 minutes, you're like, damn, Nesty's not that bad. I could be out there.
Kevin could have strapped it up at 36 and gave us 60 minutes.
Nesty's also an all-time, locker room guy too. That can't go unnoticed there as well. So he's got the performance on the field, but he's going to give you all 60 off the field too. That's an underrated aspect.
You know what?
We're not just talking about game days. We're talking weekends.
What do you got,
too.
Doogs?
I would like this on the quote card. I could also give 60 if you needed. I'm not sure what that 60 looks like.
Garden
I'm not sure if it's good.
Broken ankle. 60. Get him out of retirement. Alumni day.
We still don't know if Doogs actually broke his ankle. We just think he did not want to do the New York City Marathon. But let's hop into the Kirst aspect.
Footage,
let's hop into the Kirst family aspect.
Mitch also has 1 year left, by the way, Nesty, that he didn't decide to use. So maybe he can go to Limestone or something next year for a last.
I did his eligibility.
I do this over the COVID year left. You can still take it.
You're a YouTuber, Mitch, and if I'm in it for the content, if I'm in it for the kids, if I'm in it for the views, I would just simply go back to Liberty or something, strap it up, do 1 year of MCLA.
That ruins all his YouTube titles. D1 athlete does this.
He keeps trying. He wants to try out against high school kids 20 times.
Let me ask you a serious question. Do you think you could survive at a school like Liberty?
Me?
Yes.
Mitch, let's just, you know me pretty well now. We bust each other's chops for 2 years. Do you think I could survive at a school like Liberty?
Not 1%.
I could play lacrosse there. It's the other stuff I couldn't.
Yes.
But Nesty,
Yes.
what does it say about Mitch not using that extra year of eligibility? What does that say to you as how he's thinking as a player?
It shows so much more that meets the eye, and these young kids that look up to him. I just hope you realize part of me wants you just to know he doesn't love the game like he says he does. If he did, he would have
got no idea.
I couldn't.
He wouldn't survive a week in Division I practice. He'd be getting shelled.
Oh,
he would have busted his other foot.
I think Nestler could have played D1.
Mitch's biggest claim to fame is that he works out a lot and can do a D1 regimen. Dude, you went to the wrong school. I don't know what to tell you.
All right, let's get to the real meat and bones of this thing. Nesty, your obsession with the Kirst family goes deep. And I want you to first talk about why you're so big into the Kirst family. What's your background? Come and give us the whole spiel before I got a big question for you.
So it stems from being a young Nest. You know, back when I was probably 10, 11 years old, playing club lacrosse, playing rec lacrosse. I was always a great goalie around my small area of the world. And then I heard of this Kirst family, Colin Kirst. I first remember hearing Connor's name. He was in the Little League World Series, and he played leading edge. And I was like, oh, this guy that plays leading edge, Little League World Series. Never knew him. Then I played 8 years with Colin Kirst at Leading Edge Lacrosse Club in the summer. Became very good friends with him. Loved the guy to death. Would go to war for him. Watch his career grow. So Colin was my guy. We were the same age, both 1 and 2 goalies in the state, and I'll tip my cap. He's one, always was. All-American high school. Shout out Kirsty. And then I played a year with Connor as well when he PG'd for Lawrenceville at Leading Edge. So I had both. I was one of the first ones to get the double Kirst brothers before Rutgers and in between when it was allowed. When they were little, Colin would play up. But in high school, they didn't get to play together. They went to separate high schools. Battled both of them in high school, Colin and Connor. Connor was at Dunbarton. Colin was at Seton Hall. Played them each every year. Don't think I ever beat him once. I think I lost to Connor 3 times by 1 goal each. And Colin, I think, 2 games by 1. So that's kind of my lacrosse background with him. Got to know the
so they own you. They're not just like fans. They're your daddy.
A little bit there. But one thing, Colin Kirst, he's my guy. But the knock on Colin Kirst, I'll be the first to say, there's no hardware. There's no ring in that trophy case.
Jesus Christ, I thought you were a fan of this guy.
Wow, it just went right at him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're not a Kirst guy now. We have you on for a Kirst.
I love the Kirst, but let me just go straight to the heart.
Elf in the room. Colin Kirst has every accolade there's ever been. He's looking for the big one. I want him to bring it home. I don't know what you want from me.
Also, I think if memory serves correct, the Cannons did win a PLS 6's championship last year.
Back to back.
No, those are trophies, not rings. That's okay. I can't. No. They need to win the big one.
What means more to you, a New Jersey high school state championship or a championship series championship?
Oh, TOC all day. TOC all day.
Don't get me wrong. Winning a New Jersey State Lacrosse Championship. I know you're playing down in like Riverdale or wherever you grew up.
Riverside.
Yeah, I'll correct it. You're down in Riverdale and you're shooting on goalies who have never played the game before. You're getting recruited because no one in your area plays lacrosse. Like you're like one of like 20 guys from your area to do anything. So it's just like New Jersey's a hotbed. The state of Virginia is like Maryland's where all the talent is outside New Jersey and PA and New York. So no, you have no idea what it's like over here on the East Coast.
Wait. So can you answer the question?
The New Jersey State Championship every time.
Over a PLS 6's championship, you're picking a New Jersey Public School State Championship.
Tournament of Champions, baby.
I like the Tournament of Champions. I think it's a good way to figure out who the 5th best.
Look, I love high school lacrosse, but we're talking about a pro level championship here.
All right, I love the pro league more than anything. But when I was playing high school lacrosse, this pro league didn't exist. So you're asking me 2 different things. When I was in high school, state championships were bigger than pro lacrosse, 100%.
I also think that there is something to be said in the PLL championship. What it means nowadays, and what Nestler's saying, obviously means more. But if you're going off of the PLL championship is 1A. the championship series is clearly 1B, and there's no knock on the 1B. But if you're talking about high school championships, there's something about being able to reminisce at the high school bar on a Wednesday, talking about with like the rival town that you won the state championship and you beat like the rivals. Like, and Nestler could never experience that.
Yeah.
Because like he said, he lost.
It's sad.
Every year.
It's sad. Does anyone on here have a state championship besides me?
I have a state championship ring. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I won in 2016.
I missed it by a year.
Chris Conlon and Kyle Koloji. Those were my two defensemen up there. Shout out the fellas.
Nesty, you win the TOC or you won the group?
No. Easy.
Yeah, so see, he won the group, and he's trying to claim it as a ring here.
Whoa, there's only 3 other.
This guy's a snake in tall grass.
It technically is a ring. I'll give you that, Nesty. I agree.
Dude, the guy won districts. He didn't win states.
No, he won one of the 6 groups, but he didn't win the TOC.
It's no Garden City.
There are 3 other.
We're talking championships. We're talking to the city of champions right here.
Oh my God.
We win. I mean, it's like death, taxes, state championships. That's all we do.
Kev, they have state championships when you were playing high school lacrosse?
I don't really even remember high school. It was so long ago for me, but yeah. No one from South Jersey. I'm from South Jersey. The Jersey guys know. No one from South Jersey is ever winning a state championship.
Yeah, that was how it always went. Like if you won, they would have like the whatever group you were in, 1 through 4, and it was like North and South. So like the winner of the group 4 North play the winner of the group 4 South. And like the harder game was to win like the semifinal or the quarter of like your North group, because then you had like a free bye week of the South winner. It'd be like 19-2 before you went to the TOC.
Mitch, who were some like big names you would play against in high school down in the great state of Virginia? You have any battles against guys you saw like go to that next?
I mean, my best friend played at Maryland, won a national championship. Danny Moltz, don't forget the name. Jack Posey, you ever heard of that name? Played at Penn State. Now he's in the league. Jacob Angelis, he went to PVI, but was going to go to our rival public school. Dylan Moltz won a national championship. Oh, look, I can go on and on. I'm a nice guy, but like this is not. We're talking. I'm right near DC, there. Dog. You're not talking like Charlottesville, Lexington, Virginia.
All right, listen. I'll give you. You pulled a couple good ones out of your hat, but you know we could go down a list. It would be over really quick. But I'm
not comparing. I'm not comparing Northern New Jersey.
Look at the goalie in net.
But no, let me ask you a serious question, Nestler. I want your top 2 Kirst family moments of all time, and then I got a rebuttal after you answer that question.
You want my top 2?
2.
Do 5.
You want 5? We want 5?
I have 5.
Okay, do 5.
All right, rattle them off, Nesty. Let's hear it.
All right.
And make this under 2 minutes.
You know, this is my show now. Ready? We'll do an honorable mention. Honorable mention: Cole Kirst becomes the captain at Syracuse University after transferring in 4 years out of Lehigh. The historic Syracuse University that has all these legends come through the door. So they put a C on Cole Kirst's jersey when he walks in after being at a different school for 4 years. Incredible honor. Puts up 37 points out of the midfield. Second honorable mention: Connor Kirst stealing a county championship off my finger. He is the assist with 3 seconds left. Del Barton wins it. My heart's broken. That's great for Connor. Now we'll get into the real ones. Number 5, the goalie, the youngest buck, Caden Kirst, brings a state championship to his hometown, the only one not to go to a private school. Stay public, fellas. He brings one to Bernardsville, stayed with all of his boys. Senior year, they finally bring it home. First one in school history. Caden Kirst, unbelievable guy. Freshman at Rutgers, keep an eye out for him. He's coming, baby. The reincarnation of Colin Kirst. And then we have CJ and Colin, Memorial Day weekend 2022. Colin Kirst's last game ever as a college athlete, and cried a lot of tears that day. I did. But there's that famous picture of CJ chasing Colin smiling. That's the epitome of what they love, having fun with the game. 2 brothers just cracking up in one of the biggest games of their entire life while Colin's running away with the ball. Just an unreal moment. And then CJ won that game. And then that was 4.
Okay.
Then we got Colin and Connor Kirst winning an NCAA game for Rutgers. And on top of that, It is a revenge game for Colin Kirst, who sat on the bench for 4 years at Lehigh. One of the biggest bonehead decisions a coach could ever make. I cannot believe Coach 𝐓𝐇𝐄 is coaching lacrosse anywhere in this country. He put him on the bench. Colin comes back, knocks him out of the tournament. Colin won't say it. I'll say it. He went 17 saves, 5 goals allowed. That's 77%. He went out there and played one of the biggest games of his life. Lehigh's gone home packing. Right after that, CJ Kirst, number 2, all-time move. He's breaking the record this week against Dartmouth. That's the number 2 Kirst moment of all time. He will be the sole all-time record leader in, I believe, the second least amount of games. He's tied, I think, games played with Matt O'Keefe right now. He is just unbelievable. He's going to hold that record for a long time, and we are currently watching the best lacrosse player to ever step foot in there. And the number 1 Kirst family moment of all time is playing the game the right way. Sportsmanship, caring about your teammates, energy, the little things, giving back to the community. Since they were little kids, all they've done is smile, put their heads down, and play the game the right way. You won't find one person who can say one thing bad about them, that their mom did an unbelievable job raising them up. Rest in peace to their father, unbelievable guy, and it's just amazing to see how much they've done since I've known them since they were 7, 8, 10 years old, and then all the way down. So, those are my guys. Love the Kirst family, but that is Nestler's top 5.
That's a great one. I like that a lot.
That's pretty good.
I have
people
one
all the
closeout.
time.
I have one closeout for Nestler. My last question for you, and then I'll see you on the Crease Dive, is how much did you contribute to that list? Like, what percentage do you give Nestler for making the Kirsts the people they are today, the players they are today?
I think a very, 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 very tiny percentage, but I think everyone who's a part of anyone's life plays a small part in who they become. But they've done so much on their own. I think just being there to kind of be a light, a guy to keep.
That's a nice answer. Now, what's the number?
I mean, it's got to be.
Guy likes to tiptoe around a lot of these answers. I'm starting to realize that, dude.
Probably a little less than 1%. I don't want to take much away from
Jesus.
There's so
less than 1%.
I mean, Mitch, if we're going in my I wish this wasn't Mitch's show, guys. I wish it was the rest of us. Just be so much more productive. But I don't know. It's a small percentage because I don't want to take away what they've done. I don't want this isn't the Nestler show. It's the Kirst or the Mitch. Now, apparently, the Mitch Pehlke show.
Wait, so Nesty,
apparently,
how, when you talk to the Kirst family, do you hug them? Do you dap them up? Is it a handshake? What's that vibe like?
That's a dap and it's usually a dap and a hug. I'm a dap and a hug guy. That with almost everyone, you're straight in for a hug. I always want that. I want that feel. You just felt through that screen.
I do like your one though. I'll be honest. The Kirst family is without a doubt the nicest family in lacrosse. We filmed the video. Hoagie and I were there in 22. Filmed the whole video with all 5 of the brothers. By far one of the best and most fun days I've ever had filming. That's still a video I get asked and talked about today of little kids are like, that was the best video ever. And the Kirst family is something special. Being able to film with them, and it was with CJ and the Fault Cornell, man, they are so positive and what the sport of lacrosse needs and is, in my opinion. And it's cool to see where they've all come. And obviously, CJ will graduate this year. Then we have Caden at Rutgers coming up the ranks, and the rest of them are in the pros. So it's exciting to see. But Nesty, if CJ Kirst had 10 shots on you from, let's say, 12 yards, how many are you saving? We just talked about, you, Cabrini, national champ, said could play Division I. I don't know.
Is this like a
go 60 minutes in a PLL game?
Is this Mitch doing the 12 yards, or is this a 12 yards? 12 yards?
This is 12 yards. This is 12 hash marks.
Okay, so about 7 yards deeper than from where Mitch does his. I envision it. It's not going to be good. And then if we're also playing Mitch's rules, it's only the shots on cage that count. So
yes,
at an insane disadvantage. So I'm going to say,
I might say 10.
I'm going to get 2.
10,
maybe 1.
If it's on net, 10. If it's on or off, I'll give you 6. Nestler.
No way.
He's such a good shooter. It's like
Mitch, just go along with it. You got to hype him up, and then he'll say 7.
No. I know it's
rookie.
No. I'm not that crazy. I'm not that.
Yes, you are. You are that crazy. You are that crazy.
Like you guys are bums. Like I'm stopping you guys from 12.
Nesty, same rules apply. Mitch is shooting. How many are you saving?
I'm going 6 for 10 if we do a real one from 12. Me and Mitch have never done a real, like not like him doing his gimmicky, like
we need to do that. We need a real one. We need a real one.
Can we do this? Can we do this week? Can we do this at all?
And Mitch also
do this in week 1.
Do it at training camp. Yes, at training camp. Shoot on Mitch live.
I gotta try to
I have footage, but I will say it's a little rinky dink.
Mitch shoots 74, Nest, so that should be fine for you still, even a couple years out.
That's heinous that you just said I shoot under 80.
He's not breaking 90.
Okay,
no shot.
He's accurate. He's accurate. Mitch,
You're right. He's blue corners. He goes low.
You guys forget that wasn't the style. It wasn't Paul Rabel in it down the alley, Kyle Harrison jump shot.
Placement,
I was a shifty dog. They called me a Sowers Jr.
He did score. I will say the most disappointing thing about Mitch that I like, why he earned my respect. He scored on Entman. He scored on my goal.
True.
Dude, that is like you. I'm not gonna lie. You should talk about that. You should be like, "Welcome back to the Mitchell Pehlke Lacrosse Show." Just a reminder, guys. Tune in next week, and I scored on Liam Entman, and people are like, "Oh God!"
You gotta love it too, because Enty remembers that exact shot too, Mitch. That's in his head still.
Yeah, well, I feel like anytime I scored, the other goalie was like, I would rather take 5 from another person than 1 from Pehlke.
Mitch, how much did you pay Big Ten Network to play your highlight package?
No, actually, I did not know that was going to happen. And I wanted to bring that up, and I was going to, but they popped that up there. And as I'm reacting to the goals, I'm like, I know I'm going to get heat for this. But first and last goal started at Michigan. Kind of crazy.
That is
But
crazy.
More of the story is we heard the top 5 moments from Nesty. Nesty, can you rank the Kirst family?
Oh,
that's criminal. That's criminal.
Yeah, I can. So it just has to be good.
You better be careful here, Nesty, on how you.
I need a Y after each.
Oh, okay. Fuck. This doesn't feel good. This really doesn't feel good. Whoa. Smoker's cough. I have the young buck, Caden. Oh, no. Sorry, Caden. You're my guy. It's lack of knowing you as well as the others. And being where you're at in this lineup, it's still a really good spot to be. So remember the company you're with here. But he's got to be 5. So he's 5th overall, which is still really high, Caden, just to be clear. So he's 5. Strictly just because I just don't have that. I don't have that one-on-one. 4, I'm going Coley Kirst. Coley Kirst, the Lehigh phenom, the Syracuse brute. Again, I just think Connor has a little more. But I guess when it comes down to it, I like that hardware. The 2 that went to Del Barton got. Like Connor's got a lot of rings, TOCs. Was a force at Nova, played at Rutgers, so that's why I think Connor makes that jump over Coley there, and then Connor at 3 for me. Because the next one, I'm going to ride for my guy, but Connor's at 3, accomplished so much, 5 years D1. 2, I'm going Colin Kirst, the goalie. That's my guy. He's been number 1 for a while. But CJ Kirst is not only the number 1 Kirst, but CJ Kirst is the best lacrosse player to ever play the game of lacrosse.
That's crazy. That is the craziest.
Hold on.
Listen, that's fine. But he's already top 5, and if you don't think so, we're not watching the same game. He's blowing records out of the water, and if he puts it 20 goals past where it was, I think calling him number 1 is very fair game, and that's how I have to leave it. He's the best to ever do it.
You think
that's not heinous?
I don't think it's that crazy of a take.
Are we saying college lacrosse, or are we saying overall lacrosse period?
Well, like I think all things considered, like to this point in his career, I would consider it.
I think he's
and then I think it's going to just keep going up as he plays in the pros in both leagues.
You think every great player to where they are now in their career, let's just say like from 0 to graduated college, Doogs, you don't think CJ Kirst could have been the best player?
I think the best player personally I've seen up until this point, probably Pat Spencer.
That's what I was going to
Really?
ask. Best since. He's
Sure.
definitely the best since Pat Spencer. I think
Yeah.
you can argue he might be the best since Lyle, but I
Yeah.
don't know how far back you go.
I
mean, yeah, if anybody's been listening to me, I'll take him over Lyle.
Can't go back much more than Lyle, or that doesn't count in Doogs' world.
Let's get people mad again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I kind of
That was when I owned Mitch.
Any guy before, like, do you count like Kyle Harrison in that conversation? He was 08.
You count 08? So you don't count when Paul and Kyle were playing at Hopkins as real lacrosse?
No, I definitely do. Are you saying me? I definitely do. I'm just saying Kyle Harrison's not in the top 5 argument. Paul is.
Yeah.
I think Paul is.
Yeah.
There's no disrespect to Kyle either.
Well, we could go all day on this, but Nesty, we appreciate you. Can you give the fans a fun fact or a sign out to end this segment?
And a message to the Limestone kids out there right now, as a fellow Cabrini guy who had his program shut down. Any words of advice?
From the heart.
Just text your boys, hug your boys, have fun, and make sure the beer's cold down there at Limestone. You're going to need it. And then follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Nestler40 Matt's Nest. You can find me anywhere if you just type in Nestler. And just keep on smiling, fellas. And I rushed for almost 2,000 yards in high school, baby.
Next segment, you guys know, Mitch's Mailbox. We're going to keep this thing rolling. Matt Nestler kind of got me juiced up. That brings us into our next segment. We asked you guys, leave a heinous voicemail, calling the number on the screen. And the topic of this week was, which team has had the most disappointing season this year in 2025? You guys answered. Let's hear the voicemails.
I'm going to say Virginia because even though they've lost some very top players, they've recruited very dominant players, and they still do have dominant players. And I just thought they were going to do better this year.
I think a lot of people did. Obviously, losing Shelley, there was a little bit worrisome, but they get every number 1 recruit. So it's not a talent question. Yeah. But it's also like we've seen that in the past with Duke. You know, was it our junior year when Notre Dame didn't make it, Duke didn't make it as well, and they had all those guys. So I don't know. Is it a Kerwin thing? Is it something else? What do you guys think?
I do think that Virginia shouldn't get a pass for you graduated guys, or you have guys that are hurt. They have the number 1 or number 2 recruiting class every single year. Honestly, it should never have a down year.
Yes.
And it sucks because the ACC is wide open this year and everyone's beating everybody. And you're the one team that sticks out like a sore thumb, just losing every week.
I completely agree with Kev. I think they're the one program that they honestly should not have a losing season at all in the next 10 years plus with what they've built in Lars and how those teams have built. They're one of those teams, to me, in a bad year, they should be going 8-9-6 first round exit in the tournament. That's a bad year. Yeah. Not under 500. They've had, the goaltending's been a disaster all year long. It started off really weird with all, the 5-star freshmen and players just redshirting at the beginning of the year, not playing this year. That was a little odd to start. And, I thought that I guess I thought they'd be a little better. I didn't expect them to be, win the national championship. But, you think Ben Ware, one of the best LSM prospects in years, would do well. McCabe coming in now as a sophomore. But, I guess it shows when you lose a guy like Connor Schellenberger, who's, a one-on-one generational player, who your offense really ran through for the last 4 years. I guess there was more growing pains than we really thought. So,
yeah. No, it's true.
Generational means once in a generation, Hoagie.
Yeah, you're right. You know what I'm trying to say. Schellenberger was.
I know what you're saying.
I also don't think people fully. Obviously Brennan was the prodigy and the number 1 player, and he's the true LeBron comparison, right, in terms of prospects. But Schellenberger, man, if he was a couple removed from Brennan, there would be some conversations there. I feel to a degree he got overshadowed by how good Brennan was 2 and away. It was always Brennan 1, which is justified, right? But Schellenberger is an all-time prospected player. For what he was able to do.
I also think I had to take when Schellenberger won the national championship in 2021. I said that if I had the number 1 draft pick that year, I would have taken Connor Schellenberger. That's how good I think. I think Connor Schellenberger is so good. And I think
I said that too. Me and you were. I think.
Brennan's one of those guys that now he played his first year pro. I'm all right, he's a physical specimen. He's obviously almost a can't miss guy. Just all the tools you want in a pro player. But we're talking college, pro, everything. Shelley was. I don't even know how he became No, he's not. I'm going to say he's not underrated. That's put a tariff on a microphone if I say that.
Shelley is the generational player if Brennan's not in the same years as him. Is what right, is all right. We're trying to say.
Would be
we're talking about Shelley, how we talk about Brennan if they didn't play in the same time.
100%, Hoagie. And we're talking about CJ, and rightfully so, obviously, like with the CJ Kirst record and everything. But Carr kind of alluded to it, like the senior years and everything. If Kirst was in the draft class last year, like you had all these guys, we wouldn't be talking about Kirst at this generational level as I think we are right now.
You wouldn't be talking about him.
No, dude,
I've been talking about Kirst since
I'm not saying
year. Not as much as Ness. Nessie's the only one who talks Kirst.
No. And I'm not like again, top five player of all time. I do think though, when you have 4 number 1 draft picks in a draft, you're gonna take a little bit of like something away from each person.
I also don't know.
You're gonna you're not even trying to like bring a guy down, but you're kind of being like, well, this is why I think the other guy is because this guy's not that good at this. It just always happens. I mean,
I don't know.
We're comparing 3 great guys.
I don't know CJ's recruiting profile either, but he was pretty under recruited in high school too. I don't know what his other offers were.
He was a top 10 guy.
But as like a Jersey guy, and like he committed to Cornell pretty, like he wasn't getting as much buzz as you thought at the beginning of high school.
I feel like that's just the Ivy League way. Like if he was going to Duke, we would have heard the buzz.
Yeah, fair.
So, all right, what's the next voicemail?
Yeah, it says he was a 5-star.
I gotta go with Loyola because they just haven't been winning games recently. Like they won against Bucknell, but like Bucknell ain't even a good team. Like it's just sad they suck.
It's just sad they suck. Easy.
Bro's not been watching. They've won 3 of their past 4.
Yeah.
Watch out against Army too. They got Army. Watch out. Watch out.
Yep. We know what's gonna happen.
Gosh, man.
No, I mean, for me with Loyola, I mean, obviously it's disappointing. It's more just sad, the performance. I mean, disappointing to me is when like you think your championship weekend good or tournament good and you just have a disaster or a blunder, kind of like Virginia. I mean, no one was expecting Loyola to be anything more than 7-5, 8-4 at best. So I don't know if you call it disappointing. I think it would be shocking that it's gotten this bad, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But they're not like a disappointing team where like we had expectations and they're not meeting them. It's just like embarrassing that a program who won a national championship, 13 years ago as a coach as Toomey and a program that's proud, didn't win a game until April is crazy. But
yeah.
I mean, I don't know if we want to preview this, but who do you guys have this weekend?
I got
talking about Loyola
Army. I have to take Army.
I'm taking Army as well, but I don't know who I'll be rooting for.
Should we for the bit just go all Loyola across?
Oh my gosh!
For like the graphic,
Cons
might have an aneurysm.
We
depends on how far back.
We honestly,
genuinely might have an aneurysm if we.
It would actually
be
be
so
Loyola
funny. Graphic. Barstool Army's been active too. They've been coming at me with a couple Army takes recently too. They'll have an aneurysm as well.
Who, Army?
Barstool Army has been commenting on my stuff anytime I say anything about Army.
I know we're kind of closing in on time, but I saw somebody put like, oh, these would be Cinderella runs, and it was like Towson, like Georgetown, all these teams, and then like honorable mention like Army, Doogs, and like laughing at me. I'm like, Towson made more Final Fours than Army has in 40 years. Like what? Like you're making fun of me for the Army take. Like Towson's not as Cinderella story either. Like if you're gonna say Army is
yeah, not fair.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right. Well, I think that wraps it up on mailboxes. But now to some favorite
gamify.
Are we gonna gamify?
It's time
you guys
to
kind of like
gamify,
that,
baby.
But no, start bench cut. Some of you guys' favorite segments. In this segment, we have something new for you. You guys love the sock debate, so we're gonna keep it on the feet. We're gonna talk cleats. I want you guys to give me start bench cut. We're going to start off with a guy named James Hogan because I already know what he's going to pick. James, start bench cut, white cleats, black cleats, or team colored issued cleats.
100% start team colored issued cleats without a doubt. I wore the lime green, Kelly green cleats at Manhattan last year. Ohio State, we weren't allowed to wear color cleats, so we had to wear the white that we were given. So I couldn't dabble, but I would have worn red if I could at Ohio State. So starting the colored cleats, 100%. Great pop on the uniform. Benching the white. The whites are classic. And then I'm cutting the black. I mean, I'm already not the fastest guy out there, so I don't need black cleats to make me look even slower out there. And honestly, I never wore them, never will. Black cleats, see ya.
Okay. Kev?
All right, I'm going to answer this in the same way our friend Dom Petramala answered it. So it's not for me, it's in general.
Okay.
Or maybe the ideal situations, we'll say. So I'm going to start white cleats. I just feel like they work. They're the standard. It's what I always wore.
Yep.
It always looks clean. I'm going to bench black cleats knowing that 90% of the time it's heinous, but the 10% of the time that you have like an absolute rabid dog, short stick defensive midfielder or someone like that that's wearing them, it is so elite that it's almost start caliber. But you got it.
But it's got to fit the mold.
Right. Exactly. You can go very wrong. I would never wear black cleats. It would be a bad decision by me. And then honestly, just have to say, cut the school colored cleats just because me and Hoagie have been at ends on this episode.
Me and Kev are usually lockstep on the picks, and the Michigan-Ohio State game. The Michigan-Ohio State game got us in a blunder.
Doogs, what do you got?
Thanks, Mitch. I'm going to start white cleats. Self-explanatory. They're by far the best. I mean, this is like a runner-up award. I'm very at arms here. I was a school color guy. I would go on a Nike ID, customize my cleats every single year. Make the Garden City maroon, maybe a little bit white with the Nike symbol maroon. It looks nice, Mitch. You would have loved it. But
that's kind of swaggy.
Shout out to Booby Miles, Friday Night Lights. If I'm going to be scoring touchdowns, I'm going to be wearing black Nikes on my feet.
Wow.
Benching the black Nikes, cutting the school uniform just because of Booby Miles.
I think the color cleats look good. Like one of the teams who does them well is Boston.
Booby Miles.
Boston wears the all red cleats. It looks good out there. I like it. I think if you're a team like Army though, and you wear an all black, that's kind of hard. I'll give you that.
Also, now that I'm trying to get in with the young kids, like I'm like that Steve Buscemi meme. Like, how do you do, young kids? Like, their whole steez is no steez. Like the ankle socks. Like, you want to go no steez? You want to go to the 2-bar syndrome? You want to look dumpies because like that's the new cool thing to do? Fine, I'm in it. I'll wear black cleats. I'll wear no show socks. I'll wear 2nd bar syndrome. I'll be looking like Nestler out there.
If you do black cleats though, you need white laces. Black cleats, white laces.
See, I would.
Done.
Yeah. See you, Doogs. One thing I will say, like, this probably doesn't apply at the college level, but at the high school level, I would maybe even give like the kid who wears like the color that's not even in his team's color scheme, like the bright orange or something like that. That might even be above like school color for me.
There was a time period when I was in high school. I remember the seniors when I was a freshman. They were like just got off like the undefeated Garden City season. They were like gods in town, right? And you're coming into high school as like this freshman. And I remember football season, they were all wearing the Cam Newton Carolina blue highlight cleats, like the Under Armour. Remember those like shoes that went like all the way up to here?
Yes.
And they wore those. It was the most disgusting thing with like the maroon uniforms that we had. But then they won the Long Island Championship in football, and it became like, wow, that's sick. It was like dumpy.
That I'm anti wearing cleats that have nothing to do with your school color. Like if you're maroon and you're rocking like orange or green cleats, like I'm like, what are you doing? You look like a clown.
Yeah. It's not cool until you win basically a state title, and it's like, oh wow, that's really cool.
Just to circle back, you guys were all on Syracuse Volt cleats. And I was like, oh, I don't really love it because it's not the school.
I love those. God, those were so sick.
Yeah, I tried.
Didn't they have the Under Armour cleats too? They had like they like superhero versions of them too. You got like this clown at a Cankle City and socks up to their knees and the Captain America highlights at like your 7th grade tournament trying to strap you up. You just blow right by them. You know exactly what I'm talking about, Mitch. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes, dude. But I'm going to go real quick. I think you start white cleats. It's pivotal. I think you got to bench team issued and you got to cut black. But the thing I'm going to say for this is if the black cleats are on the right specimen, you're starting that 100% of the time. And if we're talking 2013, you're the best player on the field, you're rocking team-issued colors of the Cam Newton cleats.
I also think full team black is hard. Like if the whole team's like, we're just all going to wear black.
Yeah, like what Army had for the Army-Navy game, like that's sick. Even
that's
Ike with the black leg sleeve, like so
that's
sick.
That's sick.
Yeah,
so
that's sick.
I love that. All right, well, that's going to wrap up episode number 13. And Dukes,
I actually have one more thing. I would just like to say, really shout out to all you guys. And I know Mitch usually closes this out, but he let me close this one out. And we just want to say, Mitch, could you please leave the show with an inspirational quote or a fun fact that the viewers might want to learn at home?
A fun.
Yeah.
This is what it's like, huh? I'm going to give you a fun fact about James Hogan, actually. James Hogan washes his hands over, this is serious, over 20 times every day.
No,
What?
there's no way it's 20.
James
Hogan.
Hogan.
You would know Hogan.
James Hogan.
No. So
James
I'll
Hogan.
explain. I'll
Every
explain.
time he eats,
Yeah,
he washes his hands.
That's a fact. That's
Every
a fact.
time he goes to the bathroom, he washes his hands.
That's facts. Yeah.
That's around the 20 mark.
No, I mean, all right. So
You get
my
sick a
big
lot?
thing is I don't like grease. Like if I'm eating like
And then
a slice of pizza
when
or something,
when we're on site, you look at his hands. It's gonna look like your
Nah,
grandfather's skin.
I'm anti. Like you got guys, your boys next to you eating like pizza. You got the grease dripping down the crust, and then they go touch their phone, and it's like, what are you doing, man? Like I gotta wash my hands when I'm eating greasy food afterwards. I can't go on. It's a fact. I don't know. It's kind of weird, but it's what it is.
Do you get sick a lot?
No,
You have a fun fact about Mitch?
knock on wood. Fun fact about Mitch. Wow.
Then we'll close it out.
He's a nice guy.
Mitch would
God, I
not
don't know what he's
shower
gonna
at
say.
the Ohio State lacrosse facility because he didn't have all of his shampoo, hair products, and combs. So after practice, he would leave right
That's
away,
true.
go home, and shower at home.
Hiding something.
No, actually, the real reason was I did not want to shower there.
And Mitch was the only kid out of 52 players who locked his locker cabinet up top, so no one could get into his locker.
This kid's hiding something.
No, because you know what would happen? Hogan would come over and use my deodorant, use my cologne, use my brush.
I'm the
I ain't
cleanest
doing
guy
that.
ever. I would never use someone else's
Yeah,
deodorant.
I'm not saying
disgusting.
Hogan. I'm saying there's 50 other guys. You got
You're right.
you
got
scumbags
Zoot.
from Long
got
Island,
guys
all
like
these
Zoot,
other
Mitch,
places.
coming and using your deodorant. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Guys like
but the
Zoot.
biggest thing was, if you remember, I had the ruckus,
He did
and I wore a helmet because I'm a nice guy. So I didn't want to have my hair looking good and then put the helmet on, and then it's just like you messed it up. So that
R.I.P.
was
the
the real
ruckus.
reason.
It got stolen.
R.I.P. Kev, since we haven't hit you yet, leave us on a fun fact.
Fun fact. The cookies at Mitch's house growing up were kept in the 5-hole.
Yeah. We'll see you guys next Wednesday.